We are Movie Menu Reviews. On today's menu, we'll be reviewing Solo, a Star Wars story. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast. I hope you enjoyed our remix of dubstep of our theme song that Mike did. Thank you so much, Mike.
You're very welcome.
We are live on Facebook on episode 188.
What?
We have a special guest here, Alexander Dunn.
Hey, welcome.
Our resident Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. Can't say the same for my co-host, senior panelist, Z.
You want to try that again?
No.
I didn't understand a word you said.
Everyone else did. That's why they're laughing.
Well, there you go.
Also here is my co-host, Mike Stan.
Less.
I can't do it.
There you go. Mike Stan.
You gotta do it with the Chewbacca sound.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We'll need to work. I'll need to work on that.
Yeah, you work on that.
Yeah.
So, like we mentioned, we're going to review Solo, a Star Wars story, but before that, we have some movie news to talk about.
Yes.
The latest trailer for Christopher Robin just came out. What did you guys think about that trailer?
It looks adorable. I feel like the trailer gives away too much, but I honestly feel like I want to watch it with my family, if anything, and just be in awe by what's being shown. It looks like the spirit is there of like the old books. So and also the way that Winnie the Pooh and all the other characters are designed looks like the old version of Winnie the Pooh, not the cartoon version that we've grown familiar with. So it just looks really adorable and fun to watch.
And also a little bit of a tearjerker. But
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it looks
Yeah.
kind of looking forward to it.
Right, yeah. There's no dog in the movie, but
No.
I feel like that's what we're going with it.
Yeah, I was a big fan. I'm still kind of a big fan of Winnie the Pooh characters and stuff. So I'm really excited to see this movie, and I think it might be on our film slate to review.
I think it is. Yeah, no, it definitely is on the slate. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think I agree. I think they gave a little too much, but I feel like what they give away is going to be like the first half, and the second half is them saving Christopher Robin.
You think they're pulling a Deadpool where the trailer has nothing to do with the actual movie?
That would be great.
That would be amazing if they pull something.
It was, but as you mentioned, though, they were like similar to the books. So I did grow up with the cartoons, and the voices are pretty much the same.
They sound the same. Yeah.
So that's also to hear Pooh's voice and stuff. That was really cool.
It's also really cool to see them in their
stuffed
size.
animals?
Well, that's stuffed animals, but there's the size that there are, because like they come to the real world in the trailer and they're really, really tiny. But because we saw them right with Christopher Robin, he was a small kid. They all looked really big, but next to Ewan McGregor, they look really, really tiny. So it's kind of fun to see them just as stuffed animals, but really small as well.
I also want to give a shout out to not shout out, I should say, but I think the writing should be recognized because there's some really good lines in that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
My favorite line is they say nothing's impossible, but I do nothing every day. That's awesome. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So to a more serious tone of our movie news, I'm going to toss the news story over to Z.
Yeah, so we covered this last week, and I'll restate it now just in case people didn't listen to last week's news story. But Asia Argento, I mispronounced her name last week. I said Asia, it's Asia, delivered a speech at Cannes in which she stated this: "Even tonight there are those that need to be held responsible for their conduct. You know who you are." And she was talking about that in relation to Harvey Weinstein raping her when she was 18 years old. And she said that in a crowded room. And this week, Harvey Weinstein was held accountable. He was charged for rape and several other counts of sexual abuse. The charges were for assaulting 3 of 70 women. 70 women, 70. Asia was not one of the women involved in this charge. So just to begin with there, they did take away his passport, so he can't leave the country, and obviously he's on watch. I think they put like the
ankle bracelet.
Yeah, an ankle bracelet on him to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere they're not supposed to. So what do you guys think of that? Do you think that we're walking our way into the right direction?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. But I mean, unfortunately, we see that it's still happening out there. So,
yeah, it's just a tough. I don't know. It's tough because we want women to come forward, but then they're attacked so much when they do come forward, and it shouldn't be happening to begin with, but it just kind of keeps happening. And with more people coming out with allegations about different people, it's hard to know how many times it does happen and how much people are staying silent all the time.
Right.
So
yeah. And that leads to the next portion of the story, which is this happened this week. CNN they launched an investigation into Morgan Freeman. Now, again, Morgan Freeman is one of those names that, just like Tom Hanks, we don't expect to come up on the Me Too hashtag. But they published an article that stated that 8 women accuse him of sexual harassment and, to some extent, assault. He then came out to apologize on Thursday, and it was a really bad apology. Dan, you mentioned you felt like it was just entirely... Like it felt Kevin Spacey-esque.
Yeah, it felt like Kevin Spacey. Except Morgan Freeman didn't come out of the closet.
Yeah, well, right. That's the only exception. It was kind of like a half-hearted apology of like oh, I didn't intend to do that.
Yeah.
Right. It just felt like super passive. And so then he released another statement, and here it is: all victims of assault and harassment deserve to be heard, and we need to listen to them. But it is not right to equate horrific incidents of sexual assault with misplaced compliments or humor. So he's stating that the things that he said were made out of jest, made out of making people feel comfortable, so he was joking around. Now, I get that because I generally try to joke around with my coworkers.
You do?
But right, there is a line to be drawn, and according to the CNN report, he crossed the line on several occasions. You know, he would make statements like, have you ever fooled around with an 80-year-old man? That's not humor. That is, putting somebody in an uncomfortable position, and that was to an interviewer. So what is a woman going to do? She's going to leave and not interview this person and lose her job? No, of course not. So from my perspective, it looks like Morgan Freeman was using his place of power.
Wait, there was another one, right, that you had mentioned?
Oh, there's several other ones. Which one are you referring to?
The one about wearing the dress.
Oh, yeah. So he's here it is. So again, there is audio and video footage of him making these statements. You got a dress halfway between your knee and your hips, and you sit right across from me, and you cross your legs. Like, he's just talking about her and her dress. Again, another interviewer. Like, that's not, Morgan Freeman, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, they can't leave. They're stuck in that room with you. Like, it's not like, right, they can make the choice of leaving, but that is putting them at jeopardy of losing their job.
Yeah.
So, he's saying, "Oh, I'm going to put people at rest," but honestly, people are they can't escape that. And there's several incidents in which he made compliments. He also made statements that really put people and made them uncomfortable. Now, it's not to the extent of Harvey Weinstein, but it is still to an extent degrading to the women involved. And I think, as you were stating, Alex. It happened still, right? So nobody was going to come out against Morgan Freeman. I don't think so until CNN launched the investigation. And when they did go into it, they found a lot of people who were stating that this was happening, and video and audio footage of that happening.
Yeah, there just has to be like a filter with people. I don't understand like how he doesn't see, like you think that just somewhere in his mind he has to know like this isn't right. Like you shouldn't be saying these things. Like there is a difference between joking and making comments that are inappropriate and just wrong for these women and putting them in those kind of situations. And you think he would have that kind of filter, and he obviously doesn't.
Yeah. And there's no way of excusing his behavior as being like, oh, well, he's an older generation.
Or boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. There's no way of excusing that behavior. And honestly, I think we talked about this last week and how the Me Too movement kind of slowed down a little bit. I think Asia should be commended for her bringing it back. And so let's keep the focus on. Let's keep on talking about the people who are being victimized as much as those people who are perpetrating these acts. Make it safe for the victims to come out and say that this is enough. We should not tolerate this kind of behavior.
Yeah. There should be a time when they shouldn't have to come out at all because it's not happening anymore.
Exactly.
That's the hope.
That's the hope, yeah.
One day. On that note, let's go ahead and switch gears and go on to the review for Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Movie menu.
So the movie we're reviewing is Solo: A Star Wars Story, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Oops.
Oh, no. Oops.
I'm just kidding. Directed by Ron Howard.
Yes.
You're
fired, Dan.
No. Okay, good. You get Alex to film my spot.
The show is now hosted by Ron Howard.
He'll be narrating. That'd be great. Like Arrested Development. Directed by Ron Howard, written by Jonathan Kasdan and Lawrence Kasdan. Here's the plot. During an adventure into the criminal underworld, Han Solo meets his future co-pilot Chewbacca and encounters Lando Calrissian years before joining the rebellion. It stars Alden Ehrenreich, Eunice Suotamo, Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Donald Glover. All right, guys, I have seen this film, so depending on our spoiler-free review, that means no spoilers. We shall decide this movie is worth the dine and watch it in theaters, take out, wait, and watch it at home, or leftovers.
Shoot it into space. Shoot it in a black hole.
Get yourself eaten by a big monster.
There we go.
Got it.
By a big beast.
Got it. Okay, that's good.
Or get your arms taken off by a Wookiee.
There you go.
Yes, that's much better.
So whoever gets the point, or whoever has the most points by the end of the season, will get to decide a segment of their choosing. Alex, you have a choice to, if you get a point, to keep it or give it away or trade it in for a Starbucks coffee, which you already did. So you get no points today.
No, he turned them all in. This is the reward for
That's what I've been waiting for.
See, if you want to be a guest on our show, you get rewards.
Yes, Starbucks.
Exciting.
The greatest award.
So on that note, let's rate this film.
Oh man, I don't want to do it anymore.
That's too bad because you're first.
Oh man. Okay. I think I'm gonna say dine in.
Okay.
Only because it's a Star Wars movie and you got to see it in the theaters. You know, I don't know. I have some kind of weird emotional connection growing up seeing.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if you like Star Wars or not, Dan. I don't think you do.
Guy with the shirt.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't.
Star.
You don't seem like someone who likes Star Wars.
Yeah, he loves Spock. I mean,
yeah,
he came out of Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah, I think I just have that connection with it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just as an experience, seeing it in theaters is worth seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters. As a whole,
yeah,
I think the movie is just okay.
That's okay.
And that's why. But I'm still say dine in because you got to see it.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah.
I agree with Alex. Dine in, but as we say too often, a soft dine in.
Oh, well,
so yeah. So it's like I agree with Alex. Where the main reason to experience that is like not only in seeing it in theaters, but also seeing it with a big group of fans in there. Just hearing the audience response to a lot of things is a part of the enjoyable experience itself. So,
yeah. Well, for me, it is definitely a hard takeout. This is not a film you should watch in theaters. In fact, I've watched better on Star Wars Clone Wars. And I thought I was watching one of the bad episodes of Clone Wars, where I could easily just watch this at home. I didn't feel like the story was going anywhere, and there are a lot of issues with pacing. And I think it has more to do with the fact that there's no real villain in this story, and also there's no threat. You feel like there's no threat to these characters. Unlike, Rogue One, where we didn't know these characters, I felt more engaged with those characters than I did with Han and Chewie on this one. Now, that's not to say that I didn't like certain things about this movie. This is not a leftovers by any means, but I could have easily watched it at home and felt okay with it.
He gave a disclaimer that it's not leftover because he's I'm going to go for him. Because it's a dine-in, watch it in theaters. And I feel like the movie itself, there is a threat. Sure, we see Han Solo and Chewbacca in the future, but there's also characters introduced and Lando we see in the future.
Yeah.
But we see characters introduced that we end up caring about, that we don't know what their end game is.
I mean, like
Amelia Clark, Kira.
I didn't care at all about her.
Well, you don't care about much.
No, but I care about Khaleesi. I'm just saying.
No, but they set up a great introduction with them splitting up and then them getting back together. And I disagree with you about the villain. There is a strong villain with it because you feel the threat and you feel the intensity of not only Paul Bettany's character, but also the Marauders, Infant's Nest, as well.
Yeah.
So, and there's also a bunch of other things as well, which I don't want to give away too much. But
all right. But do you want to talk about what worked for you guys, since it's more majority of dine-ins? Because I have a lot of things that didn't work well for me.
Sure.
So what did you guys like? What you said that for you, Alex? It was more of like it's a Star Wars film, so it has a pass in that like you have to watch in a big theater.
Yeah, I think like some of the setups and like just the overall like look of the film, like I do think it's like a gorgeous film, and some of the things that they do in it are really awesome to see. Like
definitely agree.
It's like the setups are really awesome. It's the things that are happening within the setups that I'm always like, meh. Like I think like that really awesome like train thing that just constantly moving. It's like that whole action sequence. You're like, this is really interesting. Like, who came up with this idea?
Right,
of
it's
that
really
kind of
cool
thing happening.
Yeah,
and then I don't know what are some of the other sequences that are like,
but
I really visually awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
And I'll also say though, the reason why you should also watch it in theater, and if you have one near you, you should definitely watch this in 4D.
Oh,
no. I saw it in 4D.
You experienced it in 4D?
Yes, it's like almost like Star Tours, but in a 2-hour ride.
Yeah?
But it's amazing. Like it's amazing technology that they use with this film. Just imagine the opening speed chase. And the 4D went for it. We were moving around like crazy.
I can see that.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like such a fun experience, and the audience was in it.
But see, just to comment also on like the speed chase in the beginning, I was like, what, isn't Ron Howard? Hasn't he gotten good at directing speed chases? Right? Didn't he do that one with
Rush? What was wrong with the opening speed chase?
I just felt bored watching it. I didn't like. I just did not.
How did you feel bored?
Like if
when
you
see them chasing, and then he goes like a looped around, and then
I'm just saying, like, if
really cool.
in comparison to like watching like the really good car chase.
I feel like
films,
you're like looking for things.
No. I was looking forward to watching this film, and I just was like,
no, you weren't. You said it looked like crap.
I said that initially, and then I saw the second trailer. I was like, okay, now I'm ready for this. Like, I wanted to see it, but I just felt like it just moved too slow. Now, I'm not saying that the chasing moved too slow. I'm saying that it moved too slow in general, this film. And so that chase, just immediately I was like, oh, all right, we're going really slow here.
That's interesting because there's a lot of action in this movie, more action than I anticipated there to be. Just opening, there's action, and then there's the heist action, the rebellion action.
That's kind of funny because I actually thought it was in some ways the opposite way. I actually wanted a chance to breathe and to get more of this stuff.
Okay.
Like I think I sort of agree with the speed chaser thing.
Yeah.
I did think it took too long. I think it could have been a little bit shorter, like a little bit tighter in that speed chase in the beginning. Because when it gets to the part when they're like in the train station, ship station, like that part's like kind of interesting because you're like, ooh, are they gonna get caught? Are they not gonna get caught? Like, that's more interesting to me than the actual speed chase in some ways.
It's because you didn't see it in 4D. No,
yeah, there you go. But yeah, I do think there was times I found myself kind of going like, okay, we're like getting introduced to so much at all the time that I'm like, I just want a chance to like breathe a little bit. Let's like slow down. And they do that a few times, but like not enough for me to like really enjoy what was happening. There's just a lot of constant setup and like, oh, now this is happening, now this is happening, now this is happening.
It almost felt like like I know, and just by saying this, I know that this is what it really is. It just felt like a film that's like filling in a lot of plot holes. Like it was just showing you like, oh, this is where this goes, this is where this goes, this is where this goes. And I was just like you were saying, like I just felt like I was like, tell me the story. Tell me where I should be really caring about these characters.
Yeah, it kind of felt fan servicey a little bit.
That's what
like,
I mean.
Constantly, I was like, they're kind of tongue in cheek. They're like, oh, by the way, you know that line that he always says?
Yeah.
Came from that guy. That one over there. Oh, you know why he shoots first? That's why he shoots first. And like, it kind of did that a lot, and it kind of bugged me a little bit.
Tatooine, we'll get there eventually, right? Like, you're just kind of like, okay.
Oh,
like,
there's a guy named Jabba.
Right. It just felt like it was like, pew, pew. And I was like, in my mind, I was thinking, like, is this film taking place right before A New Hope? And now I know the answer is yes, but I kind
no,
of wish
it's not.
It's not.
It's
It's like
not.
okay,
It's like 10 years.
Is it 10 years?
10 years.
Okay,
Yeah, 10
good.
years
Okay,
before.
so I was hoping it was actually like 10 years between those films because. But then why are they setting up the whole Jabba the Hutt storyline too? Now that's not spoiler. We know that's where he ends up.
Well, no, because he has a working relationship with Jabba before
Oh, okay.
he
Maybe
ends
that's
up-
it. Okay.
Yes.
Are they planning on making sequels after this one, like basing it off of
Yeah,
Solo?
the Alden Ehrenreich signed a 3-picture contract.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's
I-
a trilogy here.
Kind of. Well, I'll wait for the spoiler one.
Yeah. Okay.
There's something in.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that gets. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the things I enjoyed in this, the thing that stood out to me the most was just the aliens again, like Rogue One, just like the alien design, and there are aliens from the other more recent Star Wars films in this film as well, which is fun
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. I much preferred this one, the aliens,
Really.
in this film than in the latest Star Wars, the
One
Last
or
Jedi.
The
The Last
Last
Jedi.
Jedi.
Yeah, I really preferred the way that they designed a lot of the aliens in this one. They felt
Yeah.
more practical. They felt more
Yes.
like they were right there on screen with you. And
Yeah, I
and
agree.
whereas in the Last Jedi, I was like, why CGI heavy? Stop it.
And it looks, they look great.
Yeah.
There's such
Yeah,
great
the design is
designs.
great.
And I'm sure there's CGI as well, but it's so well done. It was seamless. I couldn't
Yeah.
tell
Yeah,
the difference.
I also feel like what worked is the fact that they were able to get Ron Howard. I mean, they had so many problems with this movie.
Are we talking
As
about
far
Ron
as-
Howard now? Okay, go for it. Let's talk about it. So what happened, Dan?
Well,
What happened? Can you explain to the people who don't know about Phil Lord and?
I'm sure that people know, but I'll go into
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you should. Yeah.
So Kathleen Kennedy hired Phil Lord and Chris Miller to direct this movie, and in the production, as they were doing it, apparently Lawrence Kasdan was not happy with what they were doing because they were improvising too much. They were veering off
Yeah,
script.
and Lawrence Kasdan is the writer of the film, so of course he's got an issue with that because it's his story.
It's his story, and
Yeah.
it's and
His and
even
his son.
more so, it was going to be his last Star Wars movie that he was going to write.
Yeah.
This is like his
Swan song.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
So-
also there was also actors who were complaining about the way that they were filming it, right?
yeah.
Oh, really?
And there was just so many wrong with the production that Kathleen Kennedy ended up firing them. In a scramble, was able to get on George's favor to get Ron Howard to come in and do like 60 to 70% reshoots.
Yeah, George Lucas, by the way, for those who don't know.
George Lucas. Yeah. Who's friends with Ron Howard.
Yeah,
So Ron Howard came in and was able to. I mean, there was talks of them making the deadline for May,
yeah.
and they started the reshoots like in August of last year, and that's like ridiculous amount of time to do this reshoots. They were thinking they were going to push it back to December, and they didn't. And I mean, they made their deadline, and for me, it's a fun movie, and
Yeah.
I think Ron Howard directed the crap out of this movie.
See, so speaking of Phil Lord and I forget his name, Christopher Miller. They directed Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which
21
I
and 22 Jump Street.
21 and 22 Jump Street,
The Lego movie.
And so that humor for me is still very apparent in this film. And I saw it more in the monster design, the alien design of the creatures, because there were weird things that was like, oh, that's unusual. That's like an extra level of detail that only somebody like Phil Lord would integrate. Like there's a I forget what scene, but there's a guy who's got like these weird tubes things, and you just see like drool coming off of him, right? And it's kind of like weird, but also,
Yeah.
and that felt a lot like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, where it's just like this weird design work that you would only see from them. I do feel like this film is too different films. It does for me feel like there's like this pacing. Now, I'm not going to say that Ron Howard didn't do a good job. I think he did a great job with what he had to work with. The issue for me is the pacing. The pacing is for me like the part that I really thought it was like it moves fast, it moves slow, and then I felt like there was again no threat to these individuals that I just honestly didn't care. Like I just felt like I was like, all right, Ron, like you know how to direct. Why does it feel like in the heart of the sea? Like why does it feel like that movie where it's like I just don't care.
In the Heart of the Sea, yeah.
That's a really bad movie.
Yeah. So I agree with you in terms of the pacing, and I think there's so much action in the beginning. Halfway through all of that, like it starts to get a little numbing.
Yeah.
And I agree with Alex where you need that moment to breathe. It feels like it's gonna be like an action opener, and then the story starts. But no, it's just like action, and yeah.
Yeah, the other thing So I agree on the threat thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what kind of numbed me from caring as much, is because I kept finding myself going, I know they're going to survive. I know everything's okay. I know none of these threats actually matter because I know they're going to be okay. I know the other things interested me. I think Emilia Clarke's stuff is really interesting. I'm like kind of curious to see where that goes. I think Woody Harrelson did a really cool job.
Yeah.
But I think that, like they made this film that's probably in some ways the darkest and like dirtiest Star Wars movie. Like I feel like they set up all these like really interesting worlds that I was like, I want to see this dark underworld, and I think they're going to hopefully do it with Boba Fett. But they didn't really do it here. They didn't go far enough. They were like, oh, we're going to make it just dark and kind of dirty enough that you're going to be like, oh, look how bad this universe can get. Yeah. But they didn't go far enough, and I wanted that.
Now that Dan said that they're going to make 3 movies with Aaron
it's not confirmed that they're going to do it. They're going to see how this movie comes out. He just signed a 3-picture deal.
Oh, okay. In case it does succeed. But I can see this film being a huge setup for all those other films. Yeah. Because Rogue One clearly was an open and shut story, and that's what I loved about Rogue One. It was dirty. It was open and shut. You didn't need to know more about those characters. Even though I loved and cared about them, we knew where the story began, where it ended. But with this one, I did feel like it was a huge setup. And now Dan mentioning that there might be sequels to this, then that makes more sense to me why it felt more of a, like, here's a new franchise. Let's open it up for the whole world and see if people get interested in these little side characters.
Well, the way that I saw the movie is that we are following Han Solo from this time frame to this time frame in his life.
Yeah.
And whatever questions were answered. Whatever wasn't answered.
Yeah.
So we know what we need to know from the past movies. I just saw it as I'm just along for the adventure. Yeah. And I had fun with it. Yeah. So I thought it was great.
I'm glad you did.
That is the best approach for this movie. Yeah. To just go along for the adventure.
Yeah. So the threats and all that stuff, sure. But it's just go on the adventure. I think you enjoy it.
So for you, this was like a dumb popcorn film.
No, not a dumb popcorn film, because the film, like for me, Rogue One, like, though I did enjoy the third act the best.
Yeah.
The first 2 acts, that pacing it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And it wasn't until they get to the third act of that film where the movie actually picks up. For this movie, I feel like it's more of a solid film than Rogue One, because the first act, second act, and third act are solid in my opinion.
It's a tale of 2 Star Wars stories because, I loved Rogue One and I didn't like this one. So I think that's where it really comes down to. Like, if you like Rogue One, you might not really enjoy this one as much.
Yeah. Because Rogue One is a heavy film, and the tone's very dark too.
Well, like, no, I'm not saying I don't like Rogue One. I just think the first act and second act are not as good as the third act. Where in this movie, I feel like all 3 acts are solid.
But no, you have any more last points?
Yeah. I was gonna say, as regarding the threat, I felt like there is a threat, but it's revealed a little bit too late. And I feel like that's
what I mean by like and that we'll talk about spoilers, but I think that was what felt more like a setup for a franchise.
Yeah,
like you're opening the franchise up, and you're like, okay, but why wasn't he introduced in the first act? So we can actually worry about that character.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but speaking of the acting though,
let's talk about Alden Ehrenreich, Donald Glover, Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson. Let's talk about the actors. How do you feel like Alden Ehrenreich did as Han Solo?
It's fine. Yeah, I think he did a good job for what. It's hard to get past the idea of trying to not see Han Solo. Yeah, and I think I have the same problem.
You mean Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford. You called him by his character's name. Yeah, that's good.
Go.
That's how
Next
we know.
Time, it's Indiana Jones. But yeah, Harrison Ford. And I had the same problem. You know, it's funny. I don't know their actual original actor's name.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah,
Billy D. Williams. But I couldn't get past the same thing with Donald Glover, surprisingly. Both of them, I had the same kind of like, you're trying to create a character that's already exists, and I don't know if I can get past seeing what I already know they are like and how they already exist to me.
Yeah.
And I know you're younger versions, but like you're not that much younger,
right? You know, it's only 10 years. Like,
yeah, you probably still look the same.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think they did like a good effort in trying to make it okay.
Well, I thought Donald Glover did a really good job because he followed Billy D. Williams' speech patterns.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
In this movie compared to when he did in Empire and Return of the Jedi. And I don't know. I mean, Donald Glover is amazing. So
I think, yeah.
I just as like an aside, like I love Donald Glover. I love him as a
No,
musician.
you don't.
I love Atlanta. I love all
Atlanta's
these
amazing.
things.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of Donald Glover, but this one I was just like, I don't know, man. Like someone put it really funny. Like another person who reviewed it put like, it's like he's trying to do like a cosplay of Lando, and in a weird way, I was like, I kind of agree.
I kind of see that too.
Yeah. So anyway,
and then there's that obsession over his costumes as well.
yeah, exactly. He's great, but yeah.
Yeah, but for me,
wait, real quick. We
yeah.
have a couple comments.
Sure, go ahead.
Cameron Sauer, he waved at us. So let's wave
Hi.
Hi, Cameron.
And JJ Sarada said Rogue One and the Solo movie remind me of Western movies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I
Yeah,
can see that.
definitely.
I can see that. But anyways, Alden for me was actually he yes, he looks nothing like Harrison. However, I think he had the right spirit of Han Solo, like just like the small gestures, the arrogance. I think I saw a lot of that, and that's what led me to ignore and suspend disbelief and being like, okay, this is a different character, but it's the same character we've grown to love, and I would prefer this over a CGI version of the character, right? Like I don't want to see.
Oh, I would love that. No,
I don't want to
I'm
see Leia. I would be really creeped out. And the same thing goes for Donald Glover. I think them two kind of really sold the story. And Woody,
Chewbacca.
and well, I mean, come on, man. It's a guy in a costume.
Yeah,
Like,
but-
yeah,
It was great.
it was
It was great.
It was Chewbacca, is what it was. But yeah, he that was good. Eunice does a really good job as Chewbacca. I like Woody Harrelson. I mean, I like him in anything, to be honest.
I love how in almost every movie, Woody Harrelson has to eat something. He always has to be eating something.
Yeah.
So I saw this movie twice,
Oh, you did?
obviously.
Of course you did.
But in like almost every of his movies, if you watch it again, like Hunger Games,
just
Zombieland,
splice them all together.
he's always always eating something.
Putting
It's like
something
a
in his
character thing
mouth.
he does.
Yeah.
So it's just funny to see him do it a bunch of times in this movie.
Yeah. Phoebe Waller-Bridge was also really good as the droid in this. Right. It's. I feel like
L3?
yeah, Star Wars has a really good history of like developing good cybernetic units. And I thought
droids?
the droids are really cool. And I really liked L3 in this. She was really like sassy and like, you know, in some respects I was like, has Lando fucked this robot? Like,
And kind of without giving spoiler, she's very important in the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
So that's all.
yes, no, she absolutely is. But anyways, my point still was like, has Lando fucked this robot? That was my thought the entire time. I was like, has he? I think he might have had sex with the robot, and I couldn't get past that a little bit.
It kind of verges on like Futurama humor.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like it's very, very Futurama-y, and I think that I would imagine that probably came from the original directors.
Yeah, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Yeah,
it very much has that same humor and vibe as So
So I thought that part was really funny.
The funny story about that as well, though, I was listening to an interview with Phoebe, and she was saying that she didn't know she was auditioning for a droid, and when she hailed a cab to the audition, she had asked the cab driver to ask him what's a droid, and the cab driver was like, I don't know, like, oh, can you call someone, your family members, to ask them what a droid is? So
Because she had no idea.
she had no idea.
Wow.
I guess she didn't have her phone on her, so she couldn't Google it. So when she did the audition, she did a human. And she did it like a human. They were like, oh, that's great, but can you do it more droid-like?
Wow.
And she's like,
I can't.
sure. Like, how do I do that? And then she basically figured out that it was a robot. So
Yeah.
she's, oh, why didn't you just say a robot?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I thought that was a funny thing.
Yeah, so she was fantastic. And Amelia Clarke, I think...
she was really good in this.
You know, the thing about Amelia Clarke is that when she gets really good roles, she's amazing. She's Khaleesi, and then when she gets really bad roles, she's
Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor, yeah. This is somewhere in between that. It's
she's
well,
really good.
no, but I'm saying it's somewhere in between. I'm saying it's not great, but it's not amazing. Like I still believe in Amelia Clarke being able to deliver her best, and maybe it's because it was two directors. Maybe that's the reason why I saw like kind of like a mix of acting.
mostly I feel like she was mostly on par.
Mostly on par. Yeah, she was closer to Khaleesi than she was to Sarah Connor. But I'm just saying, like, I know she can do better. I've seen some of her worst films.
I think this is one of her top
probably one of the
the
best ones she's done. Yeah. But I'm not
I think
saying
this is probably the best movie she's done, because the other movies have been rom-coms or Sarah
TV
Connor.
shows or TV shows. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I mean like in films. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
And then
so,
Paul Bettany. Sorry, it's really
Oh,
quick.
yeah,
Paul
go ahead.
Bettany
Oh, yeah.
is so underused. He's there for like
That's a
Yeah,
part
I
where I was a
agree.
little. That's again, that was my issue is that Paul Bettany's the villain in the story, but
Yeah.
he's
But
so
it's a-
underused.
No,
So
but I think, I
terrifying.
mean,
when he's there, he's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the story though isn't about the villain; it's about the mission for him. So I don't feel like they.
I
should've
disagree.
focused
I disagree
more-
completely
will
about
they be
that.
finished?
We can talk about that during spoilers, though.
But I feel like the mission is them. They're the people we're following the story, not the villain. I think it was his introduction to be a real badass. You don't need like a 30-minute segment of it. You
No,
just
of
need
course.
5 minutes to show your badassness and then or evilness, and that's all you need from a villain, really.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, and again,
Okay.
I think that's where I disagree with you on that because and we'll need to talk about it during the spoilers section because it's a lot of setup. But yes, I agree.
Okay, well, on that note, let's go ahead and go to our spoiler section. But before we do that, Alex, do you want to promote anything as of late?
Yeah, I've been just shooting a lot of music videos. They should be coming out
Nice.
soon. Yeah, I'll let you guys know when they're finished. But I just finished up one yesterday, actually. So
Awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
it should
That's
be
really cool.
good to coming out soon. And I know Mike saw Awkward Silence, so that's hopefully. I mean, we've been talking about that for as long as I've been on the show. So like, eventually that will be out in the public.
Yeah,
so.
Mike's our private screening. We should
Yes.
say.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
It's okay.
Everyone else can't see it.
Yes, we're not allowed.
Yeah,
Dang it.
we weren't cool enough.
No.
I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah.
Or we
Only
wanted to
me.
see the private screening. But
We did. Yeah, things came up.
Yeah.
Same with me.
Yeah, thank you guys for inviting. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Alex, for being on the show as always. We're gonna go over to our spoiler section. Thank you, Z. Thank you, Mike. Until next time.